Can you guys believe it? Sega forgot about one of their franchises. That's never happened before. It may be necessary this time, however. This one was French. Alright, that's the only France joke I'll make through the entire video. Today's game is... Rhythm Thief is a 1994 low-budget independent film made in New York City by director Matthew Harrison. Shit. Here we are. Rhythm Thief and the Emperor's Treasure is a rhythm puzzle game for the Nintendo 3DS developed by Gene and published by Sega. It was directed by Shun Nakamura. What was the last game he directed, I wonder? Okay, moving on. The story begins 3 years before the story begins. The tomb of famous French fighting man Napoleon Bonaparte has been stolen, and as Napoleon had a ray gun, he therefore had to be revived. 3 years pass and we cut to the main character. By day he's just a normal guy called Raphael, and by night he's the famous art thief called Phantom Art. It's almost like he's a phantom thief. No, I didn't mean it. He then steals a bracelet from the Louvre in a sequence that's the only reason people know about the game at all. And notice that it's got a symbol on it that's the same symbol on the coin left by his missing father, and also on the violin owned by Marie, who is also a character who is here, I guess. There's also a dog called Fondue. That's pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. The rest of the story revolves around trying to stop the resurrected corpse of Napoleon finding the key that will allow him to raise the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which would then allow him to destroy Paris and allow Napoleon to rebuild it in his own image. So it's a bit wacky, to be honest. The fun kind of wacky, though. But boy, I sure hope that this game doesn't end in a cliffhanger that sequel baits, but then ends up not getting a sequel in over 10 years, ultimately wasting plot points that could have developed the main character and revealed the truth behind his missing father. That would be crazy. Raphael is the titular thief of the rhythm, dingus by day, but by night he just loves stealing, pilfering.
Stealing, theft.
He's
I like
just
pilfering.
a guy, a bloke even. I wouldn't quite say that he's a cardboard character. Okay, maybe I do be saying that. I mean, there's nothing to him apart from being the cool dude, which is fine, I guess. I don't think anyone was playing this game for its character development. If you entered cool character into some sort of hypothetical stock image character generator, Raphael would be the first result. Similarly, if you typed in kind character, you'd find Marie. There's no need to go in depth really, as these character archetypes are kind of dime a dozen. Now Fondue is a dog, which immediately places him in at least A tier or above. Well done, Fondue. Ironically, it's quite refreshing seeing that he's just a normal dog and not some sort of walking marketable abomination. Spectre Vergier and Charlie are two cool characters that pop up throughout the story, and what makes them cool in the first place is that they're not extremely black and white like the majority of other characters. They actually have goals and ideals that drive the plot forwards, and shift from being antagonists to allies when their ideals align with the protagonist. Despite still holding grievances to doing so, they realise that that course of action would be for the greater good. Thank fucking Christ that at least two characters are good. Finally, some good fucking food. There's a few other characters I could mention, but there wouldn't be much point as their importance to the story is few and far between, or a spoiler in general. Yeah, I could mention Alfred, the bodyguard to a French duchess. However, why would I when I can talk about fucking Napoleon? Now, as I just mentioned, usually I like to avoid talking about spoilers as much as I can. However, as it looks like the series isn't going anywhere, and due to the information that I'm about to disclose being of the utmost importance, I believe this time it's absolutely necessary. He's not actually the real Napoleon. The real Napoleon was getting revived in that cliffhanger I mentioned earlier, remember?
Who are you talking
This guy's
about?
real name...
As it happens, my true name is Leonard Bonnard. A mere shadow to the true Emperor's light.
Bonnard, what are you up to?
is Leonard Boner. Boner. Ugh. I sure hope that this funny joke twist of a character's last name being Boner isn't used again 9 years later in hit Disney Plus show WandaVision, causing everyone to be disappointed as the shocked reveal that the cast have been teasing for weeks with the Fox variant of Quicksilver and the mystery behind the character named Frank gets dissolved immediately for an erection joke. That would suck. Now, this is important because I made this review entirely for this next point, because I feel like I'm going absolutely mental. This game is just Professor Layton. Like, blatantly, unequivocally, straight up knockoff levels of Professor Layton. But French. Both are short story games split into chapters but with overarching mystery elements, and are interspersed with either rhythm minigames or puzzles. Hell, sometimes in Rhythm Thief it's just straight up puzzles. Both explore the story through dialogue, but treat us to the occasional animated 2D cutscene. Both maps have the exact same design, and you maneuver between locations in the exact same way. In these locations, you can talk to NPCs standing around for dialogue or potentially a minigame in the exact same way. One of the more blatant things is that both games have 3 hint coins hidden in each area, which you discover by tapping on objects around the screen. There are also secret collectibles hidden around the map that add towards minigames, being the recordings in Rhythm Thief and the hundreds of minigames that the Layton franchise has. The way that you operate the menus is exactly the same. You have a log of what you've done, you can save here, I think I'm done naming similarities because this will become like a 20-minute segment. Yet, to my knowledge, none of the Professor Layton team worked on this game. I mean, it's not a bad thing, because Professor Layton slaps. So if you're gonna copy someone's homework, it might as well be one of the smart kids. Just avoid that one that eats crayons. Something actually quite unique to the rhythm games that I've played is that the control scheme changes for every series of minigame. This is good because it keeps things fresh, however it can be fairly inconsistent at times, as some minigames do turn out to be a lot better than others. My favourite minigames usually being the ones with button inputs rather than using the touchscreen, as the inputs feel more precise and deliberate. Most of them are timed fantastically, with good music, and complement what's happening in the story quite nicely. Like minigame 3, creatively named Le Getaway. Ah, the French. And overall, control schemes are quite intuitive, but it can become finicky with some, like minigame 31, Gone with the Wind. It's a minigame that's made infinitely harder by the fact that it's one of the only ones in the game to use the gyroscope of the 3DS, meaning that you have to tilt the console whilst pressing the A button in time with the music. It just doesn't work. God knows how you can get past this part on an emulator. All can be forgiven, however, as minigame 38 lets you play as an aggressively French police inspector, blasting blokes like he told them not to come to school that day. Some of the minigames are very reminiscent of Elite Beat Agents or Rhythm Heaven, but there's also a noticeable influence from other forgotten Sega franchises like Samba de Amigo and Space Channel 5. So if you like any of those, or Professor Layton, or both, try this one out, I guess. I do think the recording subgame is a great addition though. Solving puzzles presented by NPCs with the sounds scattered across the city is creative and quite satisfying. Could have been improved by letting us carry more than 8 sounds at a time, and the fact that some sounds become permanently inaccessible later on into the game kinda sucks. But the end goal is to gather all of the sounds that shopkeeper Bernard requests to make the master instrument, which I think unlocks the bonus chapter. I don't know, I didn't bother. In an extremely similar situation to Pokemon Sun and Moon, the visual style, 3D models and environments all have a lot of potential to look quite nice, if they were made for any other console than the 3DS. Some minigames require extremely tight visual cues, meaning the 400 by 240 pixel screen of the 3DS becomes the game's biggest enemy. Case study example being the minigames where you have to escape by jumping in a certain pattern, but you have to squint your eyes to see what input you have to do as the speed of approach makes the cue very blurry. Then again, Professor Layton 5 and 6 never had this visual problem. I suppose resolution doesn't necessarily exactly correlate to graphical fidelity. The resolution of a PS Vita is only 544p, yet games can look fantastic on its OLED display. On the other hand, the Switch in dock mode can output 60 FPS at 1080p, And we get environments like Legend Arceus, PS2 grass. Being a rhythm game, I guess the music is probably quite an important factor, but thankfully from what I've heard there isn't a bad song in the soundtrack. All of them distinctly radiate this theme of Pink Panther-esque thievery, whilst also subtly reminding you, yeah, we're in France. Every song really emphasises this strong beat in the background, which lends itself very well to the rhythm game format. Another overwhelmingly positive aspect of this soundtrack is that it's not afraid to experiment with its genre. For example, the obvious D&B drums in the background of several songs, including my favourite Overworld track, Searching for a Sound. And yeah, there's also wackier examples of experimentation, such as Vamos a Carnival from the Samba minigame.
Uno, due, tre, quattro.
And yeah, I know, of course, there's also the song Louvre Museum Invasion, which was the reason that I, like many others, found out that this game is a real thing and not some weird fever dream from 2012. An absolute bop. An absolute slapper. I've already used it like 3 times in other videos and will probably use it a hell of a lot more. God bless Sega and their indifference to using their video game OSTs as background music for my shitty YouTube videos.
3, 2, 1, go!
Speaking of, Sega has so many franchises at its disposal, with so much potential behind all of them, so it's increasingly frustrating to see them being pushed to the wayside for just a couple big ones, even if their favourites go absolutely hard. Audible sigh, at least Rhythm Thief and Jet Set Radio are both included in Sega's new movie opening. That's something. But focusing on the game at hand, it was a fun little adventure, and who knows, it sets itself up for a sequel quite nicely, so maybe it'll get one if all 12 people who played the game made their voices heard. Like that will ever happen. This standalone title gets a 3.5 stars out of 5. Not bad. Oh yeah, I should mention that this would be one to play pretty soon, as the 3DS eShop does close in March 2023. You could just find a reasonably priced copy of it on sites like eBay though. What's that? You're American? And the game is being resold for an extortionate amount? Oh, I'm sure I'm glad that there aren't any instances of the reverse being the case. And thanks for watching. If you want, you can subscribe below and follow me on Twitch and Twitter to see such quality topical tweets in real time. Like that one. And that one. Not that one. Bless your face. If you sneeze during this video, bless you. Peace off.